Welcome back to Chasing Whiskey.
I'm James.
And I'm Terry, and we have a couple glasses, and we got another bottle. And this week, James, we have Old Pulteney. Cheers. Cheers. James and I have decided to take a tour around Scotland. So we are going to do single malt scotches exclusively for the next 10 and try to pick 2 per major region. We know there's more than, some people say 5 regions, some people say 6. I've looked and we can't get anything from the Campbellton region in our area. So we're going to say there's 5 regions and skip Campbellton.
Or if someone from Campbellton
wants to send us some booze, yeah, please. We're always open to bribes. But essentially, yeah, so we're going to take a tour around Scotland. We're going to learn a bit since we can't physically travel, and we're going to travel with Scotch.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Love Scotland.
So I picked this up, and it is a Highland Scotch. I haven't read anything other than the fact that I did a search to see where it's from. So it's Highland from, I believe, the town of Wick, which is along the coast. And I did notice in the front that it says the Maritime Malt, and being a bit of a sailor myself, I figured this is what we're going to start with.
And we are called Maritimers.
We are called Maritimers, yeah. So why don't you do the honors and open the box? It's a well-made box. I like the... What do you think?
It's a very unique... love that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice job. All right. Favorite part? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, that's pretty.
Look at that. Check out that beautiful presentation.
Yeah.
That is instantly my favorite bottle.
Is it really?
That
is nice.
Really cool.
It's very distinct. I love the look. I love the color. I love the blue and the sort of nautical touches.
Yeah, nice. The Maritime Malt embossed
at the bottom
on the back.
Look at the very bottom of the bottle, James.
The touches. Love the touches.
Is it a compass or is it a sunrose? Let's see. Oh, it's a compass.
Is it really? I can't wait to open this up and pour it.
Shall I? Okay. Well, I'll do that then. Come on. There we go. Yeah, very nice.
Here we go. Ah, yes. The pop of the bottle.
First dram. It's got a lot of clunging with the neck. Very distinct neck, eh?
It's so pretty.
Yeah, it is. That's very unique, isn't it?
Nice. I can smell it from here. It's very, very pleasant.
Yeah. Very nice. There's the color in the glass.
That's got a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of awesomeness. If this is our first stop in Scotland and we've got 9 more stops, this is going to be fun. Pull anything out?
Not distinct, but there's a lot of different smells there, right? It's funny. We were all over the place before. This reminds me of a true whiskey or true Scotch for sure. But
it's got a very subtle spice.
Almost. There's something there that I'm not used to smelling, and almost like a pickling spice or something. Does that make sense? I have no idea. Have you ever brined a turkey?
No.
If you prepare the brine before you put the turkey in, there's that subtle smell. You know what that is? It's a saltiness.
Mm.
Am I losing it?
No, I think you're right. Shall we?
Yeah, cheers.
Mm.
Oh, that's nice. I like that a lot. Is there any one note or any one flavor that you can pick out there?
Wasn't even trying, was just enjoying the party. Definitely a party going on here.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's more on the sweet side, but not overly sweet.
Yeah.
It's got that bitterness at the back of the tongue.
Yep. It's oily on the tongue for sure as well. And it's smooth but complex. Does that make sense? Like it
is. It doesn't have any bitter
there's
changes.
There's no harshness, but the flavors kind of change and it's a bit complex, but it's not a harsh change. It's a subtle, smooth transition.
Yeah.
That's really nice and pleasant.
Nice and consistent all the way through.
Very pleasant.
In fact, this is my favorite of the new 10.
Yeah. It's easy to say, right?
So while we do this, so we were talking about this new, what would you say, technique to accelerate aging. So
what did we learn, or what did you learn?
Well, I didn't understand a lot of because I don't know how to distill myself.
Right.
But there are techniques that folks are using to accelerate the aging process to get the taste out quicker.
Okay.
Whether it's, putting chips of certain woods in with into the cask.
So in the actual barrel.
In the barrel.
So
yes.
not just having the barrel itself.
Right.
You actually having chips as well.
Right.
Okay.
And there's technologies coming out to take advantage of the temperature or the pressure and accelerate that.
Okay.
The most interesting part, I think, I'm curious what your opinion is. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I was hoping you'd answer that question. I don't know. So anything that can make the product better for the consumer should be considered, especially if it doesn't increase to the price to the point where it's not acceptable, right? So if there's a value to be had with price, I don't have a problem with it. What I would not want to see happen is the rules around what makes something a whiskey or any other kind of, named product like a bourbon or what have you. I wouldn't want to see the rules change just because we can get to that flavor profile sooner. I wouldn't mind seeing something that, puts more flavor in and has something that would change what would normally be maybe a 25-year-old Scotch being produced in 5 years or 10 years or something like that. I have no problem with that. But I don't know. Like there's a value to tradition, but those traditions were made because someone figured out a way to do something. And as we evolve, we learn new ways to doing something, right? And so there's this balance between tradition and learning something new and using something new. I'm sure the first time someone put spirits in a still, they're like, oh, this is okay, but what if we put it in a barrel? And someone's like, oh, that's blasphemy. That's not. And then they're like, oh, this is whiskey. It's delicious, right? So there's something to be had for trying something new and doing something new without losing the tradition. So there's got to be some kind of a balance there for me personally.
Now, I think I fall more on the purist side.
Okay.
I appreciate what's gone into the art of the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I can only assume from the distillery's perspective that technique would not be a welcome thing because it's taking away from their value. But something you said resonated. Maybe there's an opportunity for a distillery to offer both, a
hyper-aged versus the traditional.
Yeah.
And there's different price points.
Yeah. And you're right. Maybe in the hyper-aging, if it's possible to get a unique flavor, well, that gives a value add.
I do have a problem with marketing something as a 25-year-old-ish Scotch when it's not really 25 years old. I have a huge problem with that. But if you can inject some more life into a 3-year-old Scotch to make it feel like it's a 20 or 25, I don't have a problem with that.
Even this one is 12-year-old.
Yeah.
If you had the choice of taking this or from the exact same distillery, a 3-year-old that's been hyper-aged to 12, what would you pick?
Well, I would never like them to call it hyper-aged to 12. If they've done something to the process that's different, like if they put wood chips in the barrel, I would still want them to call it a 3-year-old Scotch enhanced with charred oak pellets or whatever the process is. If the process is something very complicated like ultrasonic aging or something, then say it's ultrasonic aged. Don't say it's aged to 12 years, just say it's ultrasonic aged, you know? So then I would know the difference between something that has had time to sit in a barrel and age and get that complexity.
So if you had those two choices,
yeah,
with the marketing done appropriately,
I think I would try it. Being in this experience that we're going through with testing and learning how to taste and understanding it, I would like to try both, see if I can tell the difference. And if I can't, then the shelf I'm going to use at home, I'll buy whatever I think is better for the better value for dollar.
I think I would still go for the traditional. Like for my shelf, what do you guys think? Who's right?
I don't think either one of us are right or wrong. I don't understand what the impact is of doing stuff like that. Like the ultrasonic approach, what does that do? Does it give you some flavors, but they're not as complex and not as enduring? Like, so because I haven't tasted anything.
Well, it's true. I think for the sake of this argument, we have to assume that the flavor profiles are the same.
So if that's the case, then I'm all for it. And as long as it's labeled appropriately and open and transparent, I don't have a problem with that. Same with blended whiskeys, like people who use blended whiskeys, or even distilleries who are probably not distilleries, but whiskey manufacturers who actually take from different distilleries to package something up. As long as they're transparent about what they're doing, I have a problem with that. You want to create a product pulling barrels from 3 different distilleries and create a bottle and call it, this is my whiskey, and it's made from these 3 distilleries, and here it is. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with someone saying, this is my distilled whiskey, when you've actually bought
but I think
stuff from other places.
I would actually pay a premium for it done this way.
We already do. What I'm saying is, can we get a discount for doing it the other way? Because I'm cheap.
Well, but if we all of a sudden had that option, then this becomes the premium.
Absolutely. Right now, this is mid-road, right?
I think I would still pay. I would pay whatever that premium is to be able to sit back and
enjoy the history and the slow process.
Yeah.
This is fantastic, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
Pour us another dram. I'm going to go grab us the water. So we should try opening this up. Although, I got to tell you,
it doesn't need it.
It's fantastic. And so if water brings out anything more out of this, I will be impressed because it is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I don't even want it to change. We'll see. Have to follow our process here.
Yeah. Oh.
So before we do this, any notes coming out?
So it's funny now that we've had a few sips and also added some water. I don't know if I smell that brine saltiness anymore, but
I can imagine myself sitting on the coast when I smell that. Try the opened up.
Okay, I got a little bit more of a bite on the middle back of my tongue this time than I did before. And maybe what's actually happened is it's actually less of a bite everywhere else on my tongue, and it's more just in the middle back.
I found those three drops mellowed it out.
And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe the bite I am feeling is less of a bite, but it's only predominant in one area as opposed to the whole tongue.
But I gotta say, this is one of the few that I think I prefer without water because it was so good. I didn't need anything to be mellowed out.
No. And it's only 40% alcohol, but it's very good. Matured over fine American oak, robust yet smooth with a delicate hint of sea air. Yes.
Says the man behind the town's 19th century fishing boom, Sir William Pulteney, put Wick on the map. But today the Pulteney name is better known for its unique single malt whiskey. Distilled and matured by the sea, the liquid in our casks are cocooned by salty air swept ashore on Arctic winds.
There you go. It's very north. I know that Wick is very north in Scotland.
During Wick's heyday as Europe's herring capital, the vessels adorned with their generous, sparkling hulls of silver darlings also carried fishermen in their droves. Exhausted after weeks of high seas hardships, the courageous seafarers who landed silver by the barrel were rewarded with liquid gold by the cask. That's poetic. That's very nice.
I love the history and stuff like that. Yeah.
Since 1826, Pulteney Distillery has endured everything nature and man can throw at it, including 25 years of prohibition. Old Pulteney is inseparable from the spirit of the harbour town it calls home, which is why it will always be the maritime malt. Our 12-year-old is matured next to the sea exclusively in fine American oak ex-bourbon casks, flickering from amber to gold and copper on the eye, subtly intense waves of fresh brine, toffee, and salty sea air. Recollect the Caithness coastline. I'm not sure how to say that.
I don't either. No, it's a Scottish
Oh,
word.
here's the tasting notes. With honey, vanilla, and spicy fruit washing across the palate in a faintly salty, long-lasting finish.
So it actually even said the word brine
It said brine.
as a smell.
And it's funny because I don't know what brine is.
Yeah, so it's basically a salty mixture that you use to like pickle or prepare a turkey or soften meats and stuff like that. I think my nose is getting there.
There's a history behind the bottle.
Oh, great. Okay, let us know.
Some say that back in the day, our wash still had to be shortened to fit in the stillhouse, resulting in its unusual shape today. What's certain is the smuggler's kettle, as it's affectionately known, is the beating heart of the distillery. So from the prohibition, they had to shorten their stills, shaping the style of both our bottle and the precious whiskey it harbors.
So this is a representative of a smuggler's still, like a smaller still pot.
It's their history of the hiding their whiskey.
Very cool.
I like how they use the word harbors here.
What do you think of Scotland so far? Are you enjoying yourself in Scotland?
I think we should slowly
Travel the region?
travel the region.
Should we do another Highland next, or should we move around and go somewhere else?
That's a good question.
Because you have to buy next.
It's a good question. I think I would go with another one before we leave the
Region?
the area.
We're going to stay in the Highland area. Okay, so next week we'll have another Highland Scotch
Yeah.
that James will purchase. And so, since I purchased this one, I have to ask James, would you buy this again?
Yes,
That was quick.
absolutely. There's no
No price point?
Yeah.
All right, I kept the receipt in my pocket because I didn't want to. I bought it quite a while ago. All right, I remember the price now because I cheated and looked.
This is one of my favorite bottles that we've tried.
All right, it was $66.49 in a box, a very nice box, a high-end box, 12-year-old single malt Scotch from the Highlands. I really like this. So for next week, I will do a little bit more research on the regions in Scotland. I know I gave a real high-level overview, but why don't we dig deep just into the Highlands if you're going to bring a Highland next week.
That's a good idea.
And I'll give an
Teach us
overview
about
of
the Highlands.
Yeah, really, really detailed about the Highlands, right? How many distilleries are there? What is the predominant flavor profile like? What's the biggest distillery in the region? I'll do that for the Highlands for next week. And then maybe the week following, we'll pick another region and we'll do the same. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I am so impressed
Because we
with
can't
the
get there. We
presentation.
might as well do a little bit of research and try to learn. This is absolutely stunning, and I'm having more. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big dram.
Yeah, love
All right.
everything about
Old
it.
Pulteney, you are going here. Thank you for a great sip.
That, under the light, it takes on,
A darker shade than the
that
rest.
is copper.
Yeah, it is.
That is brilliantly copper.
It's-
Good job.
Excellent.
We
Cheers.
are looking forward to our next Highlands, and yeah, it's going to be a fun journey across Scotland.
We'll see you next week. Cheers.